Freshman Democratic superstar Jared Moskowitz torched MAGA Republicans publicly in a variety of ways over the past 24 hours, and we have to talk about it. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bell before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to look at in this video. As you know, I am a huge fan of the freshman class of House Democrats, people like Congressman Moskowitz, Maxwell Frost, Dan Goldman, Jasmine Crockett. I think they're bringing an appropriate energy to the Democratic Party. They're emboldening us. They're sharpening us. They're carrying on the traditions of AOC and Ilhan Omar and Eric Swalwell. They're emboldening the likes of Jamie Raskin. And I think when you're up against a bad faith authoritarian cult, the way that the MAGA Republican Party has become, that sort of thing is important. In the first clip I'm going to show you here, Moskowitz is being interviewed by Ben Meiselas of the Midas Touch, and Moskowitz gives his overall assessment of why he brings the fight to Republicans and how Republicans seem to struggle to handle it.
And now the MAGA Republicans, I saw they're trying to enforce these rules that you can't say mean things about Donald Trump. And if you say a mean thing about Donald Trump, they'll take down your words.
Yeah, these guys are freaking snowflakes, man. You know, the one thing I didn't get when I got up here is I saw these Republicans dishing it out, and that's good. I can dish it out. But I also can take it. Like when James Comer called me a Smurf, I don't know what he expected. He expected to like fold and like become blue. And like, I don't know what he expected. Like if you dish it out, you got to be able to take it. These guys' skin is so thin. It is incredible. They are actually snowflakes, right? All McGovern did the other day was literally state the facts. Here are the indictments. Here's what the charges are, right? And they were like, take his words down, okay? Like pathetic, totally pathetic. These guys are weak. These aren't the tough people that they say they are. Donald Trump's the tough guy. Garbage. He's a baby. He's a giant baby defended by giant babies. Okay, you know, find me some people up here who can actually like they can dish it out, but they can actually take it. So
again, 100%, folks, we've talked about this. MAGA Republicans are the real snowflakes. Donald Trump is the biggest snowflake of them all, by far infinitely more fragile than the likes of President Biden, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and any Democrat, right? They love to dish it out. They can't handle it. And I'm so glad Moskowitz not only recognizes it, but will call it out publicly and consistently, and then continue to banter back. He will continue to push and to troll and to tease and to mock and deride. He doesn't, like many other feckless Democrats do, say, okay, fine, you can't handle it, whatever. No, he's like, listen, as long as you are going to be bullies, I will bully you. I love that energy from Moskowitz. What he's referring to, and we did a video about this, was recently on the floor of the House of Representatives, veteran Democratic lawmaker Jim McGovern just listed a series of facts about Donald Trump and his legal challenges. Facts, like he didn't insult Donald Trump. He didn't say Donald Trump's an idiot or Donald Trump is a feeble person or Donald Trump is this. And he just described facts about Donald Trump's legal situation. And one of them, for example, was that Donald Trump was found to have raped E. Jean Carroll. This is the sexual abuse and defamation case, according to the presiding judge, though in terms of New York penal law, in terms of criminal law, it didn't meet the standard for rape. The way that we all use the word rape, the common parlance of that particular word, that's exactly what the jury intended to convey. So again, all McGovern was doing was citing the words of the presiding judge in a case that Trump was found guilty of. He was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation, among other things. Again, he was talking about the fraud case, and, you know, the being prosecuted for the willful retention of national defense information, all these things. And as we discussed in the video, McGovern was formally reprimanded by the MAGA snowflake presiding officer, and his words were stricken from the record, and he was kicked out of the room for the rest of the session because you can't be in the session when your words are struck. But what's funny is MAGA Republican Chairman James Comer of the House Oversight Committee, we also did a video about this, when Marjorie Taylor Greene's insults against Jasmine Crockett were struck, he allowed her to stay in the hearing and participate because he needed her vote. Again, just a glaring double standard from these unprincipled, hypocritical losers. Now, getting back to Moskowitz and some other clips I want to show you, he constantly trolls Republican Congressman James Comer, as well he should. Comer, of course, is the grand inquisitor of the failed sham Biden impeachment inquiry witch hunt. Well, Moskowitz put this together The Biden impeachment is dead, but my relationship with Comer is very much alive. I'll miss you during recess, James. And so he put this video together.
Chair recognizes Mr. Moskowitz.
If you love James Comer at 11 o'clock in the morning, you're really going to love him at 8:30 p.m.
That applies to everyone on both sides of the aisle. Mr. Moskowitz, Ms. Green, every single member of South Bend League. What did he say?
He just threw Moskowitz into a fun.
You look like a Smurf here, just going around and all that. I go through this in the Oversight Committee with Raskin's little lapdog, Moskowitz, but little Moskowitz jumping up and down.
I guess I shouldn't play the whole thing because I don't know if there's a copyright on this particular, song. But again, you see what Moskowitz does. He's so good at trolling James Comer and Republicans, and I'm so glad he does because obviously it drives Comer up the wall. The last clip I want to show you, though, came from another hearing in which Moskowitz satirically, he's being sarcastic, actually challenged one of his Democratic colleagues, Jasmine Crockett, another freshman Democrat whom we constantly talk about. She's amazing. He kind of fact-checked her on the notion that Republicans aren't particularly productive. Moskowitz begs to differ. He says they've been quite productive. They've been quite active. And he gives some examples.
This is going to be, it's a little awkward when you want to disagree with someone on your side of the aisle, but I have to dramatically disagree with my colleague, Ms. Crockett, who used data and statistics and facts to claim that this is the least productive Congress in modern history. First of all, this Congress removed the Speaker, which has never happened in the history of the Republic. That's clearly that's a big accomplishment in the 118th. This Congress took 15 rounds to even elect that Speaker that they then removed, right, which was historic in its own right. And then they removed a member of their own party. That hadn't happened in 20 years, so kudos to them. They've had a failed impeachment of a president. I don't think we've seen that happen in a really long time. This Congress did impeach a cabinet secretary, though, without meeting any constitutional threshold. We haven't seen that happen in 150 years. This Congress wants to hold Merrick Garland in contempt and then possibly arrest him. I don't think we've ever seen that in the history of the Republic. We've seen a failed motion to vacate to remove a second speaker. Again, history in the 118th. And who could forget that this Congress, on behalf of the American people, saved gas stoves and ovens and toasters and blenders and dishwashers from the communist grip of energy standards. So I think Ms. Crockett was pointing out that this is least productive. These seem to be accomplishments on behalf of the American people that are clearly historic and may never be repeated in another Congress.
He's just so good at this. So again, we've talked about this. It's an important fact worth hammering home, folks. This is an election year, and the election is rapidly approaching, and it's going to be a tough one, though Democrats are currently favored to retake the House, that particular chamber. The 118th Congress, with a Republican majority, the one that we've been dealing with since January of 2023, when all of these accomplishments that Congressman Moskowitz was talking about have occurred, it is factually, objectively, the least productive Congress since the Great Depression, and it's on track to be the least productive since the Civil War. This is a uniquely Republican phenomenon. Nancy Pelosi did not have this issue when she was the Speaker of the House. Even in the Trump years, she was more productive than this. Democrats just instinctively have a better grasp of governing. They understand how to govern things responsibly. Republicans don't. They're only good for nonsense culture war issues. And again, like the stuff that Moskowitz was talking about, saving gas stoves from the communist grip of energy standards and health and safety standards. It's important to make this case, to not take it for granted, to not just assume that the American people are aware of this. We have to constantly remind them of this. And again, I think Moskowitz is good at that, because we should punish the Republicans at the ballot box by voting them out and voting Democratic majorities in both the Senate and the House and reelecting President Biden. And then we need to take bold action and leverage power. As far as the rhetoric is concerned, again, I think it's important that Moskowitz, Crockett, and others like them continue to match energy when and where appropriate. Obviously, we'll never go as far as MAGA does because they're full on fascists. They're crazy, right? But I think it's important to say that, listen, if you're going to insult people, if you're going to do ridiculous things, we're going to treat you with insults and ridiculousness because that's what you deserve. And if you don't like it, then you need to reciprocate good faith and tone down the MAGA craziness, but they're incapable of doing that. So good on Moskowitz for recognizing it. Good on him for exposing their cowardice, their snowflakery, and constantly poking the bear when and where he can. Let me know what you think in the comments.